Hi everyone, thank you for joining in. My name is Holly. I'm from Studio Life and M Dance. Today we'll be doing my first ever virtual paint event for all ages. It's called Moon Over Lake. It's a beautiful painting. It's a step-by-step painting, so have fun just following along. Before we get started, we're going to need some tools. The first thing we'll need is something to paint on. So you'll either need a canvas, either a wood board, sometimes cardboard works too, or paper. So whatever you have around. We are selling paint kits at the studio. If you'd like to give us a call or send us an email to Studio Life Art, we'll be more than happy to get your package together and drop it off curbside to you. Okay. So first of all, you'll need your canvas or something to paint on. You'll need your brushes. I use 3 brushes here, my background brush, a flat brush, and a round brush, 3 sizes. My paint. Now for my paint, I use the 3 primary colors, blue, yellow and red, and also black and white. So if you have those at home, great. Of course, if you have other colors, it's fine. You know, this is just for you to have fun, create at home with your friends and family. Also, I have a water jar, okay? So you'll need your water jar. I have a rag here. Napkins are fine, just to wipe off your brush, okay? So just to get us a little bit knowledgeable before we start painting, we are acrylic painting here today, which is a plastic-based paint meant to dry really quickly, also dries on your brushes. So when you're not using a brush, just leave it in your water. It also dries on your clothes too. So make sure you're wearing old set of clothes. If you have an apron at home, put one on. If not, if you do have a mistake or get a little mess, just wash it off with some water, soapy water, and it'll come off fine, okay? So we will be mixing colors here today. We're doing our Moon Over Lake. It's got some pinks and purples in there. So this is a step-by-step project. So join in. I'm going to do this in 3 different parts. I'll do the beginning, the introduction, the middle, let our background dry, and then I'll be back to do our final main character, which is those nice trees there, okay? So let's get started. Let's get out your canvas. Now, the first thing I always like to teach what's furthest back from me to which is closest, right? But right now, the biggest element here is our moon, that beautiful, nice, big moon that we have over here, and it's very central. So I think that's a great guide to start with, okay? I'm going to get out my little brush here. So get out a little brush. All you need is a little paint. I just did a little bit of blue. And I'm just going to mark my circle, okay? So think of this circle. I have a smaller canvas here. This circle takes up quite a bit of real estate in the middle of your canvas. It's probably the size of like a grapefruit, okay? So when I come around, now don't worry about not getting an exact circle. We can go around after, fill in our background, okay? So I'm going to go around. Just going to make a nice guided circle here in the center and keep going around. Now, if you have an easel at home, that is great. You can just put it up and prop it up with an easel. If you're doing it flat on a table, that is fine too, okay? So whatever you want, whatever's best for you, that's how you'll be able to do it. So just make your circle there for the moon. So now you've plotted out your circle. Now I'm going to get my flat brush. I'm going to dunk my little round brush in there. I'm going to get my flat brush. Now around this moon, as we can see, it's a purplish pink. It's so how do we make purple? A little bit of blue with a little bit of red. So I'm just mixing a little bit of my colors in here, and you're going to come up with a nice purple. It's leaning towards red, so you're going to add a little bit more red than blue. So come up with a nice pinkish purple. Once you like your color after mixing, you're going to lighten it because it's got pretty dark there. I'm going to lighten it with a little bit of white. I'm going to just circle around my moon, okay? Later on, we're just knocking out some color here. Circle around the bottom about halfway, okay? Circle around, just coloring in this space around the moon. You can blend over the blue like I just did and keep circling. Remember, acrylic paint dries approximately 3 times darker, so don't be afraid of adding enough white to really lighten it to something that you like, okay? So I go halfway up and then I'm using these circular brush stroke motions to kind of fill in the sides. Okay, and you don't have to overblend. You can, see some different value of that pink in color going through. Kind of looks very whimsical, okay? So just keep swirling around. I'm adding a little bit of white in between to lighten up around that moon. Okay, around, perfect. And see how I'm covering up around the blue? I'm going to go back in later. There we go. Now, right above that pinkish purple, we have our blue. So I just keep whatever's on my brush. Now I'm going to get my nice dark sky back there. I'm going to show you how to blend later, but we're just filling in this top area with blue. See how I'm using these circular brush stroke motion? Just kind of circling. Use the side of your brush, circling around so it just looks very atmospheric, You can kind of blend through here, softly feather out. We'll blend it in a second. I'll show you a nice little blending technique I have. So keep circling around all of your blue, covering up the whole top with blue, as you can see over here, okay? So this is all blue. Now you don't want to leave heavy paint anywhere because it'll take a long time to dry. So I'm spreading my paint as I'm, doing these circular brush strokes. I'm spreading it around so there's not heavy areas and it's not going to take forever to dry. Acrylic paint does dry nice and quickly, but if it's too heavy, it's going to take too long to dry. So I'm still circling around. Now I'm doing it backwards, so I'm kind of trying to show you what I'm doing as I'm painting, so just bear with me, okay? So just circle all around. You don't have to keep applying paint. You have plenty of paint on that brush. You're spreading paint more than applying lots of heavy paint everywhere, okay? You'll just be making a mess and it'll take forever to dry. Okay, so now that I've got this top evenly spread, now I'm going to blend. So this is very fun. I'm going to take my background brush, has no paint on it, okay? Just has, it's dry, right? I am going to move the blue. You want to wait, you want to make sure it's still pretty wet. You don't want to wait for it to dry. So I'm coming around and I'm moving it through, introducing some of that blue into that pink. See how it has a nice soft transition there? And it's just called the dry brush technique. And I'm just taking all of those colors. And if it dried a little bit, too quickly for you, what you can do is just add a tiny bit of water. You don't want it dripping, but a little bit of water kind of brings back that paint, kind of brings it alive. Just kind of push it around and then introduce it. Sometimes you'll see that I kind of finger paint, so it all depends. So you have a nice soft blend between, and don't worry about going over into the white area. We're going to go back over that moon with white later on, okay? So now I like to create harmony through my painting. So right now you see the clear distinction between pinkish purple and blue. I'm going to just add a little bit of my original pinkish purple, with a little bit of white, and bring it up into the sky. Okay, just so there's like this little highlight and it kind of brings your eye up into, the colors kind of blending. So you have here, so, introduce a little bit of that purple into that night sky. Bring down the blue. And I'm dabbing, I'm just kind of making it very whimsical. It's fun. You're just blending colors, moving paint around, and getting that nice technique. It takes a little work, and you know, after I'm finished with this instruction, you can always go back. So you can always go back to this video if you miss something, and try it again, or you know, rework it however you want. Okay, I think that's enough. I don't want to overdo the purple up there. I just want some purplish pink highlights up top. Okay. So it's just having these variations of color blended together. And I just keep working it. Okay. Just blending it around a little bit just to add some more, you know, shadow highlights, kind of just to blend it through a little bit. Remember, they'll all be a little bit different. It's your little variation of this painting. You know, sometimes, you know, everyone has their own likes and how they like it. Maybe yours is more dramatic, maybe it's darker, maybe you have more purple. It's all up to you. Of course, I finger paint. Anyone that knows me or have been to the studio know that, you know, I'm a dancer as well as a painter, so, you know, I get into the painting physically. Okay. So, I covered up just a little bit of that pink because the pink, I think, was just overdoing it a little bit. And then I'll show you. So we've got this nice blend. So you just keep working it, moving, you know, the pink colors through and purples and blues, okay? Now, when you're happy with that, you know, you can stop, just let it dry, okay? I always say you can't turn back time, so when you love it, leave it. You got to discipline yourself to just put it aside and let it dry. I don't think I'm disciplining myself too much, right? Because I keep working it. Okay, so just giving you guys just a few minutes to finish that up, and then we're going to work our nice lake down the bottom. So just finish up. Blend through, and then we'll move to our lake. Okay, so wash out that background brush. You will be needing it right now, okay? It's still going to be the blues that you see over here and purples and pinks. It's just a lighter color. So you want the contrast of the night sky to be darker than what your lake is going to be, okay? So I'm going to start off with just dipping into a little bit of white. I'm just going to lay a layer of white down the bottom, okay? So I'm covering over, you know, kind of blending through over here. As you can see, I'm going over and I'm cutting underneath that moon a little bit. I'm starting to make my horizon line, okay? And then I'm going to move it down here. So I'm adding just a little bit of white. Now, I have these pinks and purples, okay? I'm going to go back to make red. We got a little bit of pink and white. You know, and just kind of streak through just like I do there. I'm going to start with my pinks. You don't want to overdo it because in between that space is going to be some nice purple, okay? So you're just blending through here. So you have something like that. Wash your brush out. Now we're going to make a nice purple. So, of course, how we make purple is red and blue. So mix a nice purple that you like for yourself. Okay, now it will be dark, okay? So once you get the color you like, just add a little bit of white on top. Just a dab of white and kind of just blend through. So you got these purples. little bit more purple. I have to mix a little bit more. So basically this painting is about purples, pinks, blues, and that's all, okay? So if you have a little more pink, it's okay. So we have this beautiful whimsical colored lake, okay? Just like that. Now later on we will make the reflection of the moon down the bottom, okay? But this is just our background. This is just how we're going to start. This is our base, okay? Before we go into our little background break, we're going to wash out that big, actually we'll do our flat, get your flat brush out. We're going to dip into white, only white. Make sure you clean it off the best you can, just a little bit of white. We're going to cut in and we're going to trim up the edges, okay? So we're going to cut in and really push around that nice full moon, okay? Pushing around. I can overlap on top of the blue a little bit. Shows a nice little shadow there on the edge, okay? So take your time, go around that circle shape, turning your brush, you know, like you're driving, you're turning the corner, your wrist is moving the edges, throughout the edges. Okay, you don't need much, okay? You don't need much paint on there. This canvas is already white, so you know, you don't have to fill it all, use too much paint. This painting actually takes very little paint to do, okay? There's not much paint involved. You just want to cover it. If you don't cover it all, it's okay. It's already been primed 3 times. If you're using a canvas, you know, a prepared canvas. Okay, so this is pretty good. I feel like it's covered and my edges are clean. Of course, I'm going quickly with this. You guys are going to take some more time at home after my demonstration. You can always go back to it and fix anything you need to, okay? So now I feel pretty good about that moon I have there. Make sure you always give your painting some distance. As I can see now, because I'm twisting as I'm painting, you know, I can see that the right side is a little bit off the angle. You really want to center yourself on your painting so you can see how it looks, okay? And of course later we're going to have trees going in there too, so don't be too fussy. Just, you know, this is still your background. We always have time to touch up. Okay, so this is your first half. We're going to take a little background break now until this dries and come back and we'll do our trees, we'll do our reflections and our beautiful stars out. Okay, see you back. Okay, now we're ready for our part 2. You've just spent some time, you know, fixing up the background, blending through, adding any highlights or shadows that you would like, and let your painting dry. The next step we're going to do is making our trees, okay, and making that on the sides and making our horizon line with black. So what we're going to need is just your little brush, okay, get those little baby brushes out. We are going to line our horizon line in black. So you want to hold your hand, the less brush strokes the better. So when you're painting this line across, try not to lift up your brush from the canvas. Just apply some pressure all the way across the horizon line. Okay, so where that lake meets the moon and the sky. One brush stroke all the way across, and then you can, you know, apply some more paint. Now we have some land back there. Okay, try not to go into the lake, okay? You want to flatten out that line as best you can. Okay, so just like that. So you've broken up where now your lake is in the foreground and the sky and the moon is in the background, okay? See how we just made that separation there just by doing that straight black line across, okay? Now what we're going to do, as you can see, let's always go back to our reference picture. we're going to make our trees. If you notice, the taller trees are on the right and left side, on the outside. They almost frame that moon in the middle, okay? So our taller trees are going to be to the sides, and then we just see these smaller trees in the middle. And notice our trees are not the same height, right? Just like things in nature, there are some baby trees in between the taller, medium-sized trees. So you want to fluctuate your trees. We're not going to go exactly of 3 tall, then 1 short. You can kind of just vary and jump around your trees one at a time. As we make our trees, we need to make our ground. Our forest is pretty thick over here, right? So we can't just start making our trees up from this skinny little line. We have to build it up, okay? How I do that, how it's the easiest, is we create shapes. We're going to have 2 shapes. We said our taller trees are over here, so we're going to make this nice little hill over here. It's going to flatten out, and then we're going to come up over here. So we're sloping in taller trees here, you know, smaller trees down the center, and then we're going to slope back up. See that? Now over here, we're just going to fill in with black. You can keep that small brush out. Spreading your paint. You don't need a lot of paint, especially black. Really push that paint. If you want to add a little bit of water, if your paint is getting dry and sticky, add in some water. Okay, so I'm just going to fill that in, okay? So I'll give you a minute to fill that in, and then I will see you back in a minute. Okay, now that you have all of this land filled in over here, we're going to start making our tree. We start with our tree trunks so we know the height of the tree. Now, when you make these tree trunks, you want to apply very little pressure on your brush. Remember, the less pressure, the thinner the line, the more pressure, the thicker the line. So I'm going to start off with my tallest tree right up over here in the edge. And do 1. I'm going to do about maybe 3 trees over here. 2. And then this one can be a little bit taller. 3. Okay. And then we're going to go across there. We got some small ones. So you're just kind of going in and out. 1 here. Maybe this one jumps up a little bit. So this is your guide. Okay. This is a tiny one over here. Just barely makes it up. Then we got a little bit taller one over here. Maybe too small. Another one up over here, jump around, and then probably 3 trees over here. So we're going to go 1, maybe this one's here, 2, and a nice great big one over there, 3. Okay, so spread them out. I'll give you a second, and we'll come back to show you how you make those leaves. Great. Now I'm going to show you a very simple abstract way of making tree branches and leaves at the same time. Just like a tree is always pointy at the top and wider at the bottom, okay, just like a triangle, I'm going to start with a nice little tip, and how I go down the tree is just with a bunch of little zigzags, side to side, building out. All the way out, and I keep going, leaving some space in between, and I just go all the way down, okay? Starting with a point, building out to this nice wide base. And then it gets lost, okay? It gets lost right into the base of our little hill there, okay? And then we're just going to go across. Take your time, one at a time, and I'll be back to check to see how you're doing, okay? So fill all these in using that same technique. Okay, now that you've completed all of your trees, going back from left to right, using the same technique, we're going to start our reflection of the moon into the lake, okay? So now we have to basically wash off your little brushes and get a little bit of white on there. So what we're going to go is just do a little bit of white reflection. Now we're not going to make the exact shape, but we're going to have to measure up a little bit. Now if you notice, I'm not using a lot of white. I'm just using a little bit of white, digging in, because this is a reflection. It's not going to be as bright as the moon up, okay? And then I'm going to just go down, maybe a little bit of water you can add with your white. Remember, water shows transparency. So you're just going right below that moon and doing this nice transparent white You can get the shape in there a little bit, but it won't be exact, okay? So don't, and it just kind of fades out. So make sure you're lining that up. So I'm going to get myself nice and even on my canvas so I can make sure that reflection is showing the symmetry of the moon, okay? Use a little bit of, just a very little bit of water to show the transparency of that lake underneath, okay? Okay. Just going side to side with a little bit of white and water. Remember, the lake is in motion and it's moving, so it doesn't have to be an exact circle. You don't have to see the shape of the moon. Just get it right underneath. Okay, and if you go over that black a little bit, you can go, back over it. We're going to go over with the reflection of some of those trees because those trees are in front of the moon, right? So first we have to do the reflection of the moon, get it in approximately the same area, and go side to side because it's moving. Kind of move it through, brush it through, so you just have that idea, okay? And then keep working that, keep blending the reflection there, and then we'll come back and do the tree reflection. Okay, now after working your white as the white reflection and blending in through the sides, we're going to now do the reflection of the trees. So what we're going to do is flip our painting upside down. Now we're going to mix a nice purple, okay? The purple is going to have less pink in it than we did up here. Up here there's a lot of pink. We're going to have it more blue. So we're going to add a little bit more blue into the original purple that we mixed, which had more red, okay? So mix a nice purple, okay? Just a little bit of red. And we're just gonna keep it nice and dark. So now what we want to do, we're doing this reflection in purple instead of black because the trees are black, which are really dark, but in the ocean, in the lake, it's not as dark. So I'm gonna get my nice purple I mixed. Okay, now I'm gonna start doing the reflection of the trees. Now these are just light, little, same technique as you did before in the purple, and you're just going to try to line up what you did before, and you're just making little markings. So it's just the idea of the reflection happening down there, okay? You don't have to do every one because remember the lake is in motion, so it's maybe just showing a couple of those little trees coming in. Okay, I'm going across in the purple. And I kind of jump my brush around a little bit as if it were in the water. Okay, just a couple of them. We don't need to do every single one, just and they're a little bit more messy, right? Because they're in the water and the water's in motion. They're a little bit messier than those trees back there. So this one's a tall one, so I can give myself the idea of that tall one hitting back there. And this is just in a purple. Not too dark, okay? If you noticed, it's not leaning towards pink or red. Over here's where it's pretty solid. I'm just going to mix some more and I'll be back, okay? So just really work your reflection and then we'll be back to do the last final touch, which is the stars. Okay, now that when you feel comfortable with your reflection and you like what it looks like, we're going to turn our canvas on its side, facing up, and I'm going to show you this little technique on how I make my stars in my solar system, okay? So I'm going to get my flat brush out. I'm going to make a gel. A gel is water and acrylic paint, and this is where I'm going to blend. I'm going to put some water on my flat brush. I'm going to blend in some white and a little bit of yellow. I want to brighten this up just a little bit, okay? You don't want it to look super bright. So you're making this very, very light, light, light yellow, pale, 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 pale yellow, just to warm it up a little bit. Okay, so I create this gel with quite a bit of water, and I'm mixing it around. Okay, now I'm going to make sure either you have like plastic over your table at home or something where you're not going to worry about it splashing on. I'm going to come over and I'm just going to push back on the paint. And if you can zoom in over here, okay, and you can apply a little bit more. You'll take a couple of tests up into the sky, all the way to the edges, and you can make some beautiful stars there. Okay, remember not to flick up into your face, flick down. So you're pushing up on your bristles and down into the canvas there. You can twist your brush around so you get some different shapes and different angles of where the stars are going. So if you want to look in, and that's the final touch to our painting, except actually I lied. You are the artist here today, and you should be very proud of yourself. I'm going to leave you now, but you can always go back and take more time to do any fixes that you'd like. But I always want the artist, which is you, to put your initials and sign it right on the bottom, okay? And then you have a beautiful painting to hang up in your home, okay? Well, stay safe, stay happy, and hope to see you for the next one. Bye.